What's right? What's wrong with Joe Milton? And some of these things I told you in preseason camp, and some of the people on the message board didn't want to hear it. What's wrong with Joe Milton? Accuracy, deep and short. He hits on a far shorter, smaller percentage than Hendon Hooker did on the deep ball. Also, he has trouble stringing together 6, 7, 8 yard passing efficiency underneath that can get defenses to roll up. That limits what the Vols can do on offense. That's why we've seen the extended running plays, the screen passes, and the fact that this football team is going to rely on the run. That, however, doesn't mean everything is bad. Most of the programs in the nation, including those that are hoping to play for a national title, have issues with their foundation. By the way, speaking of foundation, brought to you by Andy Mason, andymasonrealestate.com. He has the best service and the prices in the biz when it comes to a realtor in Knoxville. So go to Andy Mason. He's my realtor. He should be yours. So what's right with Joe Milton, or at least the repercussions in which he is sent to this football team? One, he's okay with that. He's okay with not being Hendon Hooker and putting up the big time numbers because, by all accounts, he is an exceptional leader and one of the team favorites. Number two, he is a guy that still has ability, although not Hendon Hooker like ability. And we're seeing this offense be tailor made around him for the time being. They're not going to run the same offense with Nico next year, and they didn't run the same one with Hendon Hooker last year. But I think you're learning about Josh Heupel and his ability to flex, his ability to change. So what's wrong with Joe Milton and his performance this year? Accuracy. I told you that was going to be the case. At sometimes his willingness not to run. But two, what's good with the Joe Milton experiment is that he's a great leader. He's keeping this team together despite the fact that they can see what happens on tape and that he may not be playing his best football. And I think that because of that, this team sticks together behind some people wondering, what about that Nico guy? So, Caleb, that's the good, bad, and the ugly midway through the season of the Joe Milton situation. I think that's in a nutshell. If you want to add anything to it, feel free, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think everything you nailed is perfect. And I think Josh Heupel, to his credit, knew the type of personnel he had around Joe Milton this year and decided for this 1 year, he could tailor his offense to Milton and the skills around him and try to mask the limitations. And you're right. He wants to keep, more than anything, Josh Heupel wants to win, and everybody wants to win more than anything. But you want to keep the team together. You want to keep morale high with the team. And here's a guy in Joe Milton that, as you've talked about, has commanded the respect of all of his teammates. They love him in that locker room. And I think it resonated with a lot of them. I'm not so sure they loved him, by the way, 2 years ago when he first got the starting job, because he transferred to Tennessee, didn't even take part in spring practice because he transferred too late, and basically was given the starting job because of Heupel's preferences, and it had nothing to do with him outperforming anybody in fall camp. And I don't know if that set well with the team, but I think it did sit well the minute he lost his job and he stayed with the program, and you saw how supportive he was of Hendon Hooker for 2 years, which he was very, very supportive, and he was very content, honestly, to develop in the system. And I mean, it was very much, it was a more extreme case, honestly, of T. Martin in the 90s, where T. Martin, after Peyton Manning came back for a senior season, he probably could have transferred and played pretty quickly.
Now, Tennessee's receivers haven't been perfect. Travis points out the Ramel Keaton drop that should have been an easy touchdown, and there have been some drops that we could argue whether or not they were hard passes to catch or drops. I completely understand that. But I ask you today's tough question right now. I'm only giving you two options, and it has to do with Joe Milton. It's brought to you by our friends at Zen Sports. Here it is.
Today's tough question. Take a side. Take a stand. The Dave Hooker Show, a presentation of offthehooksports.com.
Okay, so I don't want to do that all A+ to F- grading. If Josh Heupel knew what he knows now to begin the season, would he have said thumbs up on Joe Milton? He is the guy until you get to mid-October. Or would he have said thumbs down? I have to go in another direction. What say you, Caleb?
I think he would have gone thumbs up. I'm not even going to. I think he easily would have gone thumbs up, and wouldn't even have thought about it, because he knows how loaded the team is elsewhere, and I think that alone is going to lead him to go thumbs up just to keep the team together. So yeah, no, thumbs up. I'm not even hesitating.
Now, let me share my thoughts with you on that. And it's brought to you by Zen Sports, the new sports book in Tennessee, revolutionizing the way you earn sports betting rewards. That means no more deposit bonuses that turn into deposit nightmares on Zen Sports. What you see is what you get with their cash rewards program. You get a lot of cash for a welcome bonus. Earn an unlimited 5% cash back on your betting volume for your first 15 days when you sign up with the promo code HOOKED. That's right, HOOKED. Unlimited 5% cash back. Keep betting and keep earning with up to 3% cash back on your betting volume every month after that. And refer friends to earn a percentage of their betting volume as cash rewards too. Zen Sports bringing the cash back to Tennessee. So if you bet big on sports, you want to be betting on Zen Sports because you get cash back. Zen Sports betting just got better. Use the promo code HOOKED. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 and over and in Tennessee to bet. Here's exactly why Josh Heupel would take what he's gotten from Joe Milton to this point. They're a Cooper Mays abdominal injury from being undefeated. And then you're going into this Alabama game as perhaps the favorite. Who knows what Vegas would say if Tennessee was undefeated. But you're that close to being one of the premier teams in terms of record in the nation. So there's no doubt in my mind that Josh Heupel would have let the cards fall where they may, even though Joe Milton hasn't been fantastic when he's been on the field.
Yeah, I mean, it's very obvious that they've been fine with Joe Milton, and they've been able to win because of the players around him. And you're right, they are Cooper Mays injury away. And I know people don't think Tennessee. I'm very certain Tennessee beats Florida if Cooper Mays is in that game. I think Ollie Lane just wasn't cut out for center, and I think Andre Carrick is. Notice we haven't seen a lot of Andre Carrick since Cooper Mays came back, and I think there's a reason for that.
Well, we haven't seen any because he's practically second string behind Lane at left guard. So
right, but he was brought in as a transfer to start immediately. So
the transfer portal is a bad thing as far as Tennessee has judged that. Now, all that being said, Joe Milton could go out and spit the bit against Alabama. And at what point are we talking about Nico and the possibility that he could play for Tennessee? How about that guy named? Could it be anytime soon? If you were to bet a mortgage payment, would it be meaningful snaps in the UConn game, which is kind of where I'm drawing the over or under, or would it be after that?
It would be the UConn game. It would be the UConn game. You're going to know enough about Joe Milton over the next 2 weeks. I mean, you're talking Alabama and Kentucky, and whatever issues Kentucky has, they can bring pressure. They do have solid pressure packages with Mark Stoops. So Joe Milton isn't going to have the easiest time against them. So next 2 weeks, you're going to know everything you know about Joe Milton over the next 2 weeks. And if you lose both games, yeah, you go to Nico immediately.
Travis brought up a great point. I rewatched the game last night, and maybe if Keaton would have caught a pass, Joe would have doubled his passing yards, not to mention the points. It certainly, and that dropped out route that he ran would have changed the way Tennessee was defended throughout the rest of the game. I don't question that at all.
Can we defend Ramel for a minute, though? And I've been critical of him on that.
Not on that pass.
Yeah, well, but here's the thing. It is hard. You're more likely to drop passes if you can't get in a rhythm. And if Joe Milton can't consistently deliver the ball to you, Well, then you're going to be a little rusty on the one time the ball is delivered to you.
Yeah, but that ball had touch. I mean, that's just laid out.
It did, but you know this, Dave. Receivers are as much about rhythm as quarterbacks. And yes, you're supposed to catch every ball. But as you know this, if you keep getting targets, accurate, catchable targets, you get into a rhythm to a certain degree.
Yep. Football IQ is what's wrong with Joe. The body and physical things are all there for sure. That, according to Tennessee Tom 27, maybe a 27 referencing, I don't know, an Al Wilson guy. Yeah, football IQ and the way he processes things is a real-time problem. If you watch, say, Shedeur Sanders, even though he threw the game away last week, he processes things at a different level. He wants to stay in the pocket. Bryce Young would be another example of that. And I get the feeling sometimes that Joe Milton isn't sure what he wants that play to be, how he wants it to develop. So I think there's an issue with that. There have been drop passes, as Travis pointed out, but there have been a lot of drop passes that were heavy balls and weren't thrown on target. So I've got issues with that. And I think that it's not as simple as, oh, it hit your hands, you should catch it. I don't think it's quite that easy. Apex Apparel Group, design, brand, market your way, unique products to promote your business with an unparalleled customer service, design, brand, market. You can do it all. Apex Apparel Group, they're right down below. Tell them Off the Hook Sports You support our sponsors, because I am telling you one thing, that's the reason we're here. Trevor says Joe Milton is looking like a quarterback mirage. You think you can see Cam Newton, but you're really looking at Walmart brand Jamarcus Russell. Ouch. Travis saying, tough question of the day. Is Dave getting a kickback from Nico to push for his playing time? Travis, I'm calling you out, because you're the one that got mad at me for so long about saying that I wasn't sure Joe Milton was a starting quarterback in the SEC. And now that there's question out there, I think you owe me an apology. I'll just go ahead and say it right there. I think Travis owes me an apology. And he's just laughing. Actually, Travis, you may owe me an apology in 2 weeks. I may owe you an apology in 2 weeks, because we were on opposite ends. We came together a little bit on the Milton debate, but I do think that I told you early I didn't think he was the guy. So let's see what happens in a couple of different weeks, and we'll see exactly where Joe is in that regard.